First thing on this, we tell folks never to do or to eat the high-fat luncheon meats. We're going to start right in this. You guys get a piece of paper and pencil. High-fat luncheon meats. I include bacon, sausage, ham, pepperoni, and hot dogs. Remember, the University of California a few years ago, they did a study, and they found that children who eat just 3 hot dogs a week have 9 times the risk of leukemia versus children who do not. Now, Sharon, what are good alternatives to hot dogs? Or what kind of hot dog can you buy that's okay?
The beef hot dogs at your health food store are much better. They don't have the sodium nitrite. They're healthier. There's chicken hot dogs. There's turkey hot dogs. There's all different kinds you can use as replacements. You don't have to quit having hot dogs altogether.
That's right. Now, the one ingredient you mentioned that we have to watch on all luncheon meats, this is very important, even if it's beef, even if it's turkey, you don't buy anything with sodium nitrite. Sodium nitrite reacts with stomach acid to form nitrosamines, and nitrosamines are one of the most effective agents known to man for producing malignant intestinal tumors and colorectal cancer. You need to avoid it. But I want to tell you something else about hot dogs. This is interesting. You say, let me bring my little rat up here.
That's disgusting, Dad.
It's pretty bad, isn't it? Let me show you this rat. Now, you say, why are you showing rats when you're showing luncheon meat? Well, in some cases, there's actually a certain percentage of rat or rodent hair in luncheon meats when you eat luncheon meats. And they said, how does that happen? Well, I've got bad news for you. Rats don't get haircuts.
So what do you mean by that?
In some cases, you don't just have rat hair falling into the hot dogs or the luncheon meats. You have the entire rat falling in. Now, to the USDA and the FDA's benefit, they tell you this. If they find this out, they close the plant and make them sterilize it. But that doesn't mean it's not in there. It's just in there. And now you're wondering basically why I have a stick on this rat. Well, here's why. Next time you go to a baseball game or a ball game of any type and you order a corn dog, just order a rat on a stick.
Oh, what a visual.
Because this is something you have to realize that you need to stay away from. Stay away from the high-fat luncheon meats. And I always say stay away from mystery meat. Mystery meat is not something that you can recognize whenever you look at the meat. You don't know what's in it. Let me tell you a story. You remember back in the 80s, many, many years ago, we had probably the largest clinical nutrition practice in the southern United States. And I remember a guy came in to see me one time, and his name was Bob. And Bob was having some health problems, but he was having more problems with his wife. Do you remember the story?
Yes, I remember.
And Bob was in his mid-20s, his wife was in his mid-20s, and she had had several children. She was about 20 pounds overweight. And he brought her in because her health was affecting every aspect of their marriage.
Well, she was like a wreck.
She filled out a health questionnaire for me. She told me she was suffering with the following conditions. In fact, I've written them down. There's so many of them. She told me she had fatigue, insomnia, sinus trouble, indigestion, heartburn, and constipation. She went on to tell me that she had allergies, bleeding gums, headache, stress, weak muscle tone. And then finally she said she had a severe problem with PMS, which that didn't surprise anyone, back pain, varicose veins, and she was extremely irritable, nervous, and depressed. And what was interesting is I started giving her suggestions because we did some testing on her. We found out she had hypoglycemia, and that's an unstable blood sugar condition we'll talk about in a few minutes. And I started giving her suggestions of what she could do to stabilize the blood sugar and eliminate most of these symptoms. And I'll never forget what she said. She goes, "Why should I listen to you? Why should I do what you say? I already consider myself to be healthy." And I looked at her, I said, "Barbara, you filled out my health questionnaire. You've literally checked off everything on the list as far as problems that you're having. How are you defining health?" And she says, "I don't have heart disease or diabetes or cancer. So
man.
I consider myself to be healthy." And Sharon, how many times have we seen it? People come into the office, they have all kinds of health problems, but they still think they're doing pretty good because they can walk in an upright position on a downward slope with the breeze to their back and they're okay.
That's right. Or you say you need to eat better. Oh, I eat great.
And they have no idea what they're eating. In fact, look in your medicine cabinets. Most cases you can determine the state of your health. You're going to find anti-cough medicines, decongestants, antacids, inhalers, tranquilizers, sedatives. The list goes on and on and on. I've got to tell you, this is so important. If you have a problem with headaches, you don't have a deficiency of aspirin. You don't have a deficiency of Tylenol. These are both drugs. They can cause side effects. In fact, Tylenol is one of the primary causes of liver transplants and liver failures in the United States. It's very, very dangerous, and I personally don't believe if that drug was ever tested again, it could make it back on the market.
Well, what about those nighttime cough drinks or nighttime medicines you take when you have a cold? I don't want to mention a name, but
that's true. Well, no, you have a lot of nighttime cough medicines. They combine alcohol and acetaminophen together. And the problem,
which is like Tylenol, right?
That's correct. When you combine those two together, it warns you right on the label, do not exceed recommended dose because it can cause liver damage. And the reason for that is if you combine alcohol and acetaminophen together, you can actually cause your liver to fail. It's that dangerous.
And you've seen it happen.
I've seen it happen. I've seen people die with it. I've seen people get very sick with it. I've seen people poison themselves with acetaminophen, take so much after surgery they've died from acetaminophen poisoning and basically never made it past the recovery stage. So remember, guys, drugs have side effects. There are all kinds of natural ways that you can eliminate a lot of the conditions that you have without the use of drugs. In fact, if you look on the screen right now, we've got a program. It's called the Maximum Health DVD series. It's a 6-DVD series, which is phenomenal. It goes into all the details that we're telling you today. It's $39.95 plus shipping and handling. It's phenomenal. We've had it for many, many years, and we've used it for many years with many different patients around the world. Now, let me give you some information real quick. This is a letter that had come in from Judy, who'd gone on the program. She wrote and said, I'm writing to give you a praise report. Since I started your program a year and a half ago, I've lost 50 pounds, and I've gone from a size 11 to a size 5.
Hey, ladies, I like that. We know what that means.
So 11 to a size 5, that's like a guy going from a 38-inch waist to a 32-inch waist, basically.
Man.
It's a huge difference. But the weight loss is secondary to how I feel. When I started your program, I was always dragging and the mood swings were terrible. I now have tremendous energy and I feel great all of the time. My husband has also lost weight and feels great. Our children have gone from over $2,000 per year in medical bills to being totally healthy with zero medical expenses. Interestingly enough, our total food budget has gone down by almost 30%. It's amazing. We feel and look great, and we're saving money.
And you know what's so exciting is when you start feeling better, you start eating better, you start taking food supplements and doing what you need to do, your medical bills do go down, and you really have more money than you had before because you're not spending it on medical bills. We don't have any medical bills. Our children are always healthy, and we don't take it for granted. And you shouldn't either. It's something you take for granted. And
that's true. We have a 7, a 9, an 11-year-old, and also a 21-year-old, and they're all healthy. They're always healthy.
All from both of us.
That's right. We've been married for 26 years. And what's interesting about this is people don't realize when you take a lot of drugs, let me give you some more statistics. There are 2.4 million unnecessary surgeries performed in the U.S. every year, with more than 12,000 people dying as a result of just the procedures. Studies show that 70% of mammograms are incorrect. At the age of 60, 37% of the population takes 5 or more prescription drugs a day. Now, friends, let me tell you this. This is interesting. Well, it is interesting to me because I've gotten older over the years. I'm 54 years old now, and I have so many of my friends, they come to the house, and they're taking all of these prescription drugs. And they don't realize that prescription drugs have side effects.
It's crazy.
And Sharon, you just turned 53. And I tell you that not to get in trouble when I get home, but let you know that...
Oh, you're going to hear about it later, Ted. You just wait.
Well, I tell you, because there's a reason that you're 53 and you look like you do. There's a reason that I'm 54 and I'm as good a shape as I'm in. It's because we take care of ourselves. I mean, a lot of people don't realize if you're 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight and you're going down the interstate and you want to take a U-turn, how bad does it have to get before you make that U-turn if you're going east and you want to go west and you want to lose the 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds?
And it's the bottom line is discipline. Just learn to discipline yourself to do what you need to do.
Well, and see, the thing about it is, if you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, thinking you're going to get different results, it doesn't help.
You're going to get the same results.
I went to my 30th high school class reunion a few years ago.
Oh, that was fun. I remember.
That was interesting. I couldn't believe how many people had...
How old everybody looked. People were probably looking at me, well, you don't look that...
Well, it was interesting because a lot of people had solid white hair.
Yep.
A lot of people, had gained a lot of weight. And a lot of people were very, very ill. A lot of people had some had already died.
Yeah.
Some of them were in wheelchairs. And the sad part about it is that you've got to take control of your own life. I mean, I've had people for years. I'll talk to them about health. I'll talk to them about nutrition. I'll talk to them about fitness. And I make suggestions for them. And they say, well, I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to do what you say. And I'm like, okay, I'm all right with that. But please, over 30% of our children in this country right now are clinically obese. If you don't want to listen to anything that I say today, please, help your children. Learn to feed your kids right, because that's absolutely critical.
And your children are watching you. They're going to watch what you eat. They're going to watch how you exercise. They're going to watch how you take care of your body, and they are going to copy exactly what you're doing. So really, you're their best example, and that's, if you do it for any other reason, just to be a good example for your children.
That's right. Let me read you another. This is interesting, too. This is about the drugs again. Recently, the pharmaceutical industry, which is suffering from bad press, when you have a tendency to produce drugs that kill people, you have a tendency to have bad press, has been struggling to find new drugs. It sees cancer as a wellspring of opportunity for increasing profits. This is from the Financial Times, October the 6th, 2005 edition. They want to make cancer a manageable chronic disease like diabetes. That way they can keep people on these new drugs for years, if not decades, end quote.
Wow.
I mean, think about what I just said. I mean,
so it's a business.
It's a business. It's exactly right.